Most journeys actually in England are very short. They're only 2 or 3 miles, easily replaceable on a bike or even by walking. And what we want to do is make those journeys easier for people by having better paths, easier to get around, and that's what the initiative is all about.
Well, the new code will ensure cyclists have priority when travelling straight ahead at junctions. Not sure what that means. Shapps said cycling and walking help keep people fit, reduce congestion and help the environment. The changes to the Highway Code, due to be published in the autumn, will affect England, Scotland and Wales. Let's speak with Caroline Russell, Green Party transport spokesperson and cyclist, along with Howard Cox, co-founder of Fair Fuel UK campaign. Good afternoon to you both. Caroline, I imagine this is a day to celebrate over there at the Green Party. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you as well. Yes, it is. This is so long overdue. It's taken them 90 years since the Highway Code first came out to work out that we need to make sure that we take care of each other on the road according to the amount of harm that we can cause. So if you're driving around in 2 tons of metal, then you've got a responsibility that is different to someone who is walking and crossing the road, pulling a shopping trolley. And we need to make sure that we are enabling people to get around on foot and by bike in our towns and cities.
Well, we already have rules on that, don't we? We already have a law that says you've got to drive safely and with due care and attention. So that exists.
It does, but what these changes are doing are just shifting the balance so that if you are at the wheel of a lorry, it is accepted that you have more responsibility for the safety of the people around you than someone in a car, and they have more responsibility than someone who is riding a horse or riding a bike or walking and crossing the road. So it's just common sense, and people really care about this. Yeah. 21,000 people responded to the government consultation.
I'm always diligent when I'm on my horse, I have to tell you that, Caroline. In terms of where this goes from the cycling perspective, though, I mean, does that mean a cyclist can behave badly and madly and the poor old car driver is going to cop the blame?
No, of course it doesn't. And, it is possible to be antisocial the way you ride a bike. And we all need to, when we're riding bikes, we all need to be paying attention, particularly to pedestrians, particularly to pedestrians who may be deaf or who may be partially sighted.
What about ones that are just stupid, though?
Look, there are people.
I mean, you could cross a road anywhere you like, couldn't you? And go, well, it's the car driver's fault.
Ian, there are people who behave stupidly, crossing the road, riding a bike, riding a horse even, potentially, driving a car and driving a lorry. And we see the results of that in the collision stats that come out every year. And we need to make sure, obviously, no one should behave badly, stupidly, selfishly when they're on the road.
OK, stay with us, Caroline. Howard Cox, afternoon to you, Howard. It's all reasonable stuff, isn't it? Just, a bit of respect for other people, particularly if it's in 2 tons of metal. What's wrong with that?
Ian, it's good to be on your show again. Hello, Caroline. I mean, here we go again. I mean, I find Caroline's comment about driving a HGV lorry, the drivers are highly trained professionals and that they don't care about what they're seeing in front of them, around them. They have total control. This is actually allowing carte blanche via the Highway Code to let cyclists ride recklessly, knowing full well drivers will always be blamed for any accident a cyclist may cause. It's sickening, this is. It's ridiculous. It's not necessary. There's the law already protects the rights and the safety for all road users, including cyclists. That's a done deal. It's there. And these tsunami of nanny unconsulted edicts from the DFT are simply not needed. And you guys, you should be working with us to get the roads better, but you don't. Every time I write to you, nothing comes back to you. You just keep coming out with this nanny instructions. Don't do this, don't do that.
Howard, you've asked me about letters you've sent to me. I've never received letters from you. I've checked my emails. If you're going to talk on the radio about sending me emails and me not replying, you need to actually send the emails in the first place.
The emails have been sent. I've obviously been blacklisted. Anyway, that's not the point here. The point is that this is a ridiculous thing from Grant Shapps, where it's coming from a Conservative government. It wasn't in any Conservative Party manifesto. And, we are the world's highest tax drivers. £50 billion a year goes into the economy. And all you want to do is attack and put punitive approaches on hard-working, hard-pressed drivers.
Caroline, is that, Caroline, what's underneath this all? If you had to be brutally honest, this is just a bit of an anti-car thing, isn't it? That's why you guys love it. That's why many people who ride bikes love it, because it goes again. It's about the eradication of the car.
This is about making sure that people who are crossing the road, who are cycling to work or to hospital or to wherever they're going or to college, can get home alive at night. There are far too many people every year who are killed and seriously injured on our roads. And it is absolutely right that Grant Shapps recognises the relative harm that different modes of transport can cause to other people. This is about just redressing the balance. What the government now need to do is make sure there is a really big campaign, publicity campaign, so
Caroline,
that
it was
really
never out of balance,
how this is going to help.
Okay, go on, Howard, respond to that.
Caroline, it was never out of balance. You think that the balance is wrong here. Only 1 to 2% cycle in this country. 98% don't. And 98% don't want to. It's not practical for business, work, shopping, the elderly, invalid, or massive majority choice. So get that in your head. I love cycling. I cycle. My wife and I cycle. You cycled to the village this morning. Loved it. But I don't want to be told what to do by a Green Party with one MP.
That's great you got on a bike. But the point is, I'm literally, right now, I've got rain pouring down, extreme rainfall pouring down outside my window. Just this week, we've seen huge floods in London, where I am right now. We've seen centres flooded. We've seen people's homes flooded. We know that climate breakdown is happening. We know that we have to reduce our carbon emissions. We have to make our roads safer places so that more people will do what you did this morning and cycle to the shop.
Electric cars, Caroline, they're going to address that. So what's the deal?
Electric cars still have to be powered by electricity. That electricity has to be created. It has to be generated.
So you want everybody on bikes, ideally? Because you ain't going to get that, Caroline. I mean, I'm here. I'm in the middle of this, but you ain't going to get that, are you? It's never going to happen because, as Howard said, about 1% of people cycle. Fast forward 10 years, 1% of people will cycle.
For those local journeys that are, say, under 5 miles, getting around on bike or by e-bike is perfectly possible for many, many people. And that will leave more space on our roads for the people who maybe can't walk or cycle, and for those delivery journeys and all the other essential things, the buses and everything else.
Where does a cement mixer driver put his cement when he's on a bike?
Obviously, the cement mixer is going to be one of those vehicles that is still on the road, but we could make our towns and cities work in a way that is way, way better for everyone. We have cleaner air, we have a fitter, healthier population, and we have fewer people being killed and seriously injured on the road.
Howard, what's not to like what Caroline's just said?
I mean, look, every single driver wants to breathe clean air. You bring in flooding, you bring in climate change, everything like that. It's all emotion. People are dying, you're saying. People live in a modern technological world. We need to evolve technology for cleaner fuels. Work with us to do that. That's what I'm working on at the moment, where we can halve emissions and actually reduce fuel consumption by 15%. That's a solution I've got, which I've sent in a letter to you, which you've ignored. And I'm telling you now, I promise you that I'd love to work with you on this. This whole thing is, why are we being forced into cycling using guilt emotive-ridden policies, which you peddle like mad with one MP in Parliament?
Howard, why don't you actually send me that email, caroline.russell@london.gov.uk. You can send me that email and I will respond to it. But seriously, if we are going to not end up with massive congestion, if everyone tries to get in a 2-ton metal box to move around, we are going to have gridlock.
So there's a logistical issue. Howard, just a final word from you, Howard, on this. The logistics of this mean that we'll have to reduce congestion regardless.
Yes, absolutely. We need to readdress everything about the congestion issue. One of the things we need to do is get rid of LTNs and cycle lanes. They are causing congestion. What we need... Now, hang on, Caroline, let me finish. I knew you'd laugh at that. I would like to see dedicated cycle lanes away from existing roads. We can work together technology. In Japan, for example, they have them going over the top of the roads. But you don't talk about that. You just want to hate the car. That's your role in life. That's
do you hate the car, Caroline Russell?
I think cars are a useful tool for some jobs, but we have allowed them to take over our towns and cities. They take up space when they're parked, and they're parked over 95% of the time. They take up space on the road. They're getting bigger. They're taking up more space. And because the parked cars are taking up more space, people driving are complaining that the roads are too narrow. It's, we've got to get on top of this. And the fact that the government has recognised this is actually a real step forward. And
so we have the Green Party and the Conservative Party at one on this, Howard Cox. That's not, some would say that's not the conventional order of events.
No, it's not. I've got 1.7 million supporters, more than the Green Party, I think. But the simple fact of life is,
put that in your email.
People don't want a Green Party running this country. We want a sensible, pragmatic group of people that actually works and consults with all stakeholders. And that means drivers and cyclists working together, not just a green vision of utopia.
Okay, on that point, guys, thank you. Caroline Russell, London Assembly member of the Green Party. The other voice you heard there, Howard Cox, co-founder of the Fair Fuel UK campaign. I think we could extrapolate reasonably from that there is a sort of an anti-car narrative out there. I'm not suggesting Caroline herself is necessarily all anti-car, but I think she certainly gave a nod in that direction, didn't she? But that is the view, I think, the prevalent view of people who are evangelical about two wheels is actually, it's not just being pro two wheels. They're vehemently anti four wheels. Is this the end of the car? Is that where we're